welcome to Long Story Long. I'm your host, Lisa Curry. Today's guest is the hilarious British comedian Tez Ilyas. Tez is the host of the Tez O'Clock Show, for those of you that have BritBox on Amazon, and he also has a radio show on BBC4 called Tez Talks, and he is the author of the very recently released book, The Secret Diary of a British Muslim, aged 13 3/4. He's super funny and super smart, and I think you're really going to love this conversation. Here you go. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Lisa. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on. I'm so glad that we worked this out and that I got the time zone right, sort of right. I've done some shows in London online during quarantine, and I've every single time I've messed up the time difference.
No. Well, what? Because for us, we have shows here at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. our time.
Yeah.
And so what is that for you over there?
It's hard to say because I was like in New York for a little while and I was in Indiana with family and I'm in Nashville now. And also in the midst of this, we had a time change. We had our, whatever. Why am I forgetting what it's called?
Like
daylight
like
savings
going
time.
Back and forth? Yeah.
So
we had that as well.
Then that threw me off. But I think not everywhere does it. Like the state of Indiana, only part of the state does it. So it's very confusing. It's chaos.
That's too confusing. Like here in the UK, we have British saving time or whatever, and so all the clocks go forward 1 hour at the end of March, and then they go back 1 hour at the end of October, I believe, and that's it. It's like the whole of the UK does it though, but I can't imagine like it being different state to state.
But
you have a country with like 3 time zones, and it's a bit mad.
Yeah, there's too many people. There's too much space. We need to split it up.
It's because you're the size of a continent. I mean, hence the United States, right? Like you guys are bigger than Europe. So.
Yeah, and like I was saying before we started recording, I'm staying with family in Indiana now, but it was a 4-day drive across the country from Los Angeles. It was crazy.
Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do 4-day drives here. Like if we have to go like a 6-hour drive for us, which would probably be like around the corner for you guys.
Yeah.
We're like, plan that for a month.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah, if you did a 4-day drive, you'd be in like Shanghai.
A 4-day drive from here, I reckon, would take us to Turkey, I reckon. I reckon we get to there or thereabouts, I think.
Nice. So you're in London now. Where did you grow up?
I'm in Blackburn.
Not. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm in Blackburn, the town I grew up in. No, it's cool. Maybe my Twitter says London to be cool or whatever. I don't know.
I just make up things, so.
Yeah, well, okay, good. This should be a great podcast then. I'm in Blackburn, the town that I grew up in, which is in the north of England.
Okay.
We're closer to Scotland than we are to London here.
All right. And, I know the area-ish, sort of. Liverpool?
Yeah. So, yes. Okay. I'm not far from Manchester and Liverpool. Like, either direction. Like, that way, 50 minutes that way is Liverpool, 40 minutes that way is Manchester.
Okay,
kind of thing.
Cool.
So I'm kind of in between the two places. They're the places that people will have heard of. And, yeah, this is the town that I grew up in. So when I was in London for, like, 10 years, but when I quit my day job to do comedy full time, I also decided to quit London because I didn't want to spend my hard-earned comedy cashish on rent.
It's expensive.
So I thought, yeah, and I'd been doing the open mic circuit long enough that I'd kind of established myself. So like, I didn't have to hustle anymore on the comedy circuit to get gigs. So I could just pop in and out when I had gigs, and obviously TV stuff. And radio stuff, like you go in as and when you need it.
So you grew up in Blackburn, you said?
Yeah, Blackburn, England.
Did you know, when you were a kid, did you know you were going to go into comedy? Is that something that...
Not at all. Like, it was the furthest, like, anything in the arts, or anything that sort of what I'm doing now is the furthest thing that I thought I'd... Like, if you told me as a school kid that you will end up with a career in the arts or stand-up comedy or acting or whatever, like, I'd have had you sectioned. I'd have been like, what more, there'll be an astronaut then. Yeah, all right, lol. Like, it was just so far removed from any experience we had growing up. Like, I dropped drama in year 9. I don't know what the equivalent of that, like middle school maybe, like what the equivalent of that would be for you guys. Because even though I was good at it, I just, in my head, I was like, what use is that going to be to me growing up?
Yeah.
And none of the teachers who saw that I was good at drama were ever like, you should do drama, you're really good at it. No encouragement whatsoever.
Whenever I hear those stories, whenever somebody's like, yeah, my drama teacher just pulled me aside and said, you have to do this. This is your calling. I'm like, what the fuck? They're really doing that? I've never heard of such a thing.
I think our drama teachers were relieved to have, like, by the time we got to like our GCSEs, which is like upper high school, I think they were just relieved to only have 5 kids in the class because everyone else went to do proper subjects, quote unquote. Like, I think I didn't do drama, so I could do business studies. And the reason I did business studies was because in my head at the time, I wanted to be a doctor. And I thought this will be, doing business studies at 15, 16 would be useful to me when I opened up my own practice in 10 years' time. That was what I was thinking in my head. I was like, oh yeah, those things that I learned profit margins that I learned at 15 years old is really going to help me at 26 open up my own general practitioner practice. I was like, am I so dumb?
Yeah, it's also so funny to think of like a 15-year-old, a child in a business class, because it's not whatever you learn about business in a book when you're a teenager isn't really applicable in real world scenarios anyway.
No.
And like realistically, if you're running a practice, you would have an accountant. You wouldn't also be like, I'm going to do the book work.
Right. I mean, but I think like taxes may be the one thing they could probably teach us at school, just so we know that take home pay doesn't mean take home pay. Like just to embed that into a child's brain, I think would be a really smart thing to do. So you leave school not just automatically deducting 30% off whatever starting salary you end up with or whatever. It's like, minus 30%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be that'd be a smart
totally.
thing to think. Like even when I hear like salaries of like obscene salaries that movie stars earn, in my head I'm like, he's taking him 40% of that. So
I did the same thing, and then like, but realistically, if somebody's making 8 million on a project, like who gives a shit if it's actually 4 or 5, 6 million?
Oh, they're only taking 4 million. Oh,
yeah.
Poor Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. So you you went to college then? Yes.
Yeah. So we do high school, then college, which is in between our high school and what you guys call college, and then university, which is what you guys call college.
But it's not prohibitively expensive, so you could just go and study.
No, I didn't pay any to it. So I was, because I'm like old. I'm not super old, guys, by the way, in case you can't see my face. I was just before the government introduced £3,000 a year tuition fees, which I know just sounds like nothing to you guys over there. You're like 3,000. Are you kidding me right now? Which I guess would be like $5,000 a year or something to you guys. So that's. And it was all standardized, like every course in every part of the country was that much. But when I went, it was only £1,000. And before me, though, it was free. So I was going when it was £1,000. But because our household income was really low, I didn't even pay that.
Wow.
Like applied for a scheme and the local council paid it for me. So I got to save on that at least £1,000 a year. But now it's £10,000 a year, which is like what?
That's
like
too
maybe
much.
$15,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah.
But even that for you guys is still like, I know you guys
still
pay
a deal.
Obscene amounts. But so I went to what you guys call college at 18, and because I didn't get the grades I wanted to do medicine, which is my dream as a child, I ended up doing biochemistry. But actually, failing those A levels, as we call them, like the pre-college exams, that changed everything for me, and that is the reason I probably ended up the place that I'm in. That's probably the reason that I'm talking to you now, is because failing those exams meant I didn't end up doing medicine. Because if I ended up doing medicine, then probably down the line, I wouldn't have ended up doing comedy. Because comedy wasn't an ambition. It was something that I completely accidentally fell into.
How did that happen? When you failed the classes, were you initially like, were you going to give it a second go? Or were you just like immediately like, fuck this, never mind?
I think I found the jump between like high school and college, what we call college, so hard. And also I didn't enjoy it. I just wanted to get out of there and to university. And so I was able to get on not a medical course, but a biochemistry course. And I just thought, you know what, just go. Just get out of here. This university looks great. Just go and do that. And maybe if you do really well at that, you could transfer to medicine down the line. I was still so deluded in my head.
Yeah. And just like stacking up business classes.
Yeah, on the side. So I did that for 3 years, and then actually, you laugh, I did a master's in management at the end of that, because
Stop it.
at the end of the bachelor's, I got my bachelor's I got a BSc in biochemistry, and I thought, I just don't want to do this. I don't want a career in science. I just didn't see myself working in a lab my entire life. So I thought to myself, I need a transferable degree. So I thought, well, can I do a master's? And our university had like one of the best management schools in Europe. And I thought it'd be stupid of me to not take advantage of that. And so they had a master's in management that was for non-business management students.
Sure.
For people who want to transfer into like business management stuff. So I thought, oh, well, that would make me more employable. Also, really, to be honest, I just wanted to stay at university for another year. That was a big motivation. So I did that. That was a year. And then after graduating, I came back home, did odd jobs, went to America for 3 months to do Camp America.
Where about?
I was in upstate New York in Bear Mountain.
Okay.
Upstate New York. And so I did a summer there on one of your summer camps working.
Nice.
That was really, really fun. At one point, I nearly got sacked. And
wait, you were working, so they brought you over here for free labor then?
Basically, I think we got paid like $500, but like $500 over an entire summer though. Like where we were working like non-stop for like 12 weeks. But it's just, part of the scheme. I guess it's a way of summer camps.
Of course. We're full of schemes over here.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a way of the summer camps saving money for not paying locals proper wage. They ship in like kids from Europe and stuff to come on work. And for us, well, it was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, at one point on that placement, like I nearly got sacked, and then the head of like the water bit, like the swimming bit, like she called the director's bluff and said, if you sack him, 8 people are prepared to walk out, which I don't think was true, but because everyone liked me so much, they were like, we just can't get you sacked, and so they just shifted me to the day camp, where I'd be less trouble. But I just like sleep in and stuff and just not be there in the morning, like because you have to wake up before the kids. Yeah, and I would regularly wake up after the kids. Because
I volunteered on like a kids trip a couple years ago, and I'm still tired from it.
Oh, it just tires you out, and I'm like, can you guys just go to breakfast, and then I'll see you guys after. Go to because I'm not a big breakfast guy, so why do I need to get up? And they do all the songs in the morning, and I'm like, it's too much for my British sensibilities to be banging the table at 8 in the morning. I can't do it. Yeah. But that was really fun. But then I came back and I got onto a graduate program, one of the best graduate programs in the country, working for the government in the civil service down in London. So that's what took me to London. And I was working for a while, and I thought, you know what, I really need a hobby. I need something to do in the evenings. And so what I was trying to look for was a creative writing workshop. What I found accidentally Googling was a stand-up workshop. And before that, obviously I love stand-up, and you have those daydreams of like, oh, imagine I was on stage, what would that be like? But I never seriously ever considered doing it. In the same way that you think, imagine what being an astronaut would be like. Wouldn't that be cool or something? Or have these daydreams of being a boxer.
Of course.
So I was in the right place at the right time. I think the course cost like £130, which was maybe like $180, which to me at the time, like stacked with student debt, because even though they paid my tuition fees, I still had to take out student loans to pay my way through university. So I was like stuck with student debt, but just in the right place at the right time. This was like January 2010. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna give this a go, and I signed up for it because my friends always tell me I'm funny, and I thought, well, maybe give this a go. And worst case scenario, I'll make a fool of myself and meet new people.
Was it like a one-day workshop, or is this a week-long thing?
No, it was like 1 day a week for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And so we went on it, and every time and obviously these things don't make you funny, and they don't teach you how to be funny. But for me, it got me to the mechanics of writing stand-up, which is something that I'd never done before. I never done any sort of creative writing before. And so it got me to the mechanics of doing stand-up, and then performing in front of the people in the workshop. Every week we'd perform in front of them what we'd prepared from the week before. And so that was fun. And then at the end of it, there was a big showcase where everyone on the workshop invited their friends and family into this one big, our debut gig. And people laughed when I wanted them to laugh. They laughed in the right places, and that just encouraged me. So then I found out about the insane subculture that is the open mic circuit.
It truly is insane.
Like, I did not know existed before that. And I was like, how is this massive thing, this parallel universe exist without me even knowing about it? And so I just dove headlong into the open mic circuit in London. And then, that is how I got my start. So this is like the summer of 2010 was my first ever gig.
That's crazy. So it's so crazy to think that you were just like, I'll just do this thing, because most people, I think, when they're busy during the day, they don't think like, I need a night hobby. They think I need to get hammered at night.
Right. But I don't drink, so I didn't have that either. And going out, and I love going out dancing and stuff, but going out in London is so prohibitively expensive.
Oh yeah, it's.
I remember it's
insane.
insane. Like I remember the first time I went out, like we had to grease. It was the first time I realized you had to grease the doorman's hands to get in somewhere. Like you had to pay them like £20, which is like what, $30 or something. And I wasn't used to doing that. I was used to like going out in university where like I'd be welcomed to places because people knew who I was and stuff. And because when you're somewhere long enough, people get to know you.
Because you had been in the business classes and they were like, that's that guy.
Yeah, and they were like, this is the guy who's going to take us places.
Business management.
So yeah, just greasing people's palms and just going into clubs and paying like, and I don't drink, but when it was my turn to buy a round for my friends who did drink, it was like coming up to like £80, and like my drink costs £5. I'm drinking a Red Bull that costs £5. Why the hell am I paying £80 for a round? So I didn't enjoy it. As much as I love going out and dancing and stuff, like I hated going out in London. I just didn't enjoy it. And it was all about getting a table and looking flashy and all that stuff. Just wasn't what I was into. So like I just need to do something, and it's not like Friends or How I Met Your Mother where everyone lives in some really nice flash apartment together. That just isn't the case. So I was just busy. I just needed something to do, and that's where accidentally the stand-up workshop came from.
How long until you like started taking it really seriously, or did you right away? It sounds like you just like jumped right into the circuit.
Yeah, like honestly, because I'm a bit of a fantasist. So while I was doing the course, like I'm a daydreamer, so I'm like automatically going, oh my God, I'll do this, and then this will happen, and then my days I will do that, and I'll be in love with the Apollo, and then I'll have my own DVD, because that DVDs were a big thing back then. I'll have my own DVD and stuff. Oh, that'd be sick. And then when I dove into the open mic circuit, it was a bit of a reality check, because I had no idea how comedy works. Like I had no idea how long you have to hustle for. You have to work your way up through the clubs and stuff. Like I just had no idea. I just thought someone will see you do a gig and they pluck you out of obscurity and then you're famous.
You know what though? That's the best way to think of it, because I think if you know from day one how hard it's going to be, there's no fucking way you're going to do it. Who would?
Well, I think that's the message we need to encourage with people now thinking about getting into it. Yeah. Which is just please don't. Like I'm just trying to get by myself. Like if you could not enter this, it'd be really helpful. Just go on your TikTok. Like it's great. Go on your TikTok. Guys, you've got a lot more followers than any of us in a week. Yeah. Just go on your TikTok. Yeah. So yeah, no, I just realized how hard it was. Then like doing open mic circuits, like a man and his dog. Like literally sometimes like 3 people in a room, and you're there trying to make them laugh and stuff. And I've heard like, from what I've heard, like New York is even worse. Is even harder. The open mic circuit in New York is even more tough. It's tough. Yeah, it's what I've heard. And I was like, because I thought about maybe sometime, maybe I could do 6 months in America, but I thought unless I got contacts that I can go in at a certain level, I don't want to start, because I've done that in London. I don't want to then go to a new country and have to start right at the bottom again, because it's like I don't know any friends. I can't bring people to gigs because I don't know anyone. So yeah, it sounds really, really tough. But the open mic circuit in London was tough, but maybe not as tough as New York. When
did you start getting paid for gigs, or when did you start going after paid gigs?
Oh, not until like 3-4 years in. Because I had a proper serious day job. I couldn't travel that far to do gigs, so I was constantly on the open mic circuit. And in London, they really take advantage of open micers to do those middle spots. Yeah. Unpaid. So, and because everyone's doing them, that's just how it is. So we're just constantly fighting to get these middle spots in clubs where you're not going to get paid, but they're really good gigs because for the first time you're in front of like a Friday, Saturday night crowd, which is completely different to a Sunday, Thursday crowd. Yeah. And it really teaches you, like, I found the jump between going from the Sunday to Thursday circuit, as I call it, to Friday, Saturday night club comedy. I found that jump harder than starting stand-up.
Oh, interesting.
Because, like, Sunday to Thursday circuit is very forgiving, very indulgent, very whimsical, very like, well, he's going to try and tell his jokes and we're going to support him. Yeah. Whereas Friday to Saturday, they want to be entertained. Yeah. They're not there to indulge you. They're not there to indulge your whimsical fantasies and stuff. They're like entertainers. And that doesn't mean you can't be whimsical. It just means you have to learn how to do that in front of them. Yeah. And that took me about a year to learn how to do what I wanted to do in front of a cutthroat Friday, Saturday night drunk audience. Took me about a year to get right. Because the material ended up being the same, but I didn't know how to pitch it. Yeah. And it was in performance. It was in my performance had to change. Like I had to be a lot more dynamic, a lot quicker.
Do you think like a part of that could also be once you're in this kind of the grind of things, you know, and you realize what a big deal it is to make it to the Friday, Saturday circuit. Do you think like some of that makes you nervous, or maybe like your ego gets in the way in a bit?
A little bit. I think I constantly had imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. You know, because a lot of people in the circuit, you know, they come from that drama background, or they've been doing stand-up since they were 19, 20, 21 or something, or it's something that they always wanted to do. Whereas I was kind of just fell into it, and I found that I was quite early enough, and I was decent enough at it that I could just keep going.
Yeah.
And so I constantly, every time I got up the ladder a bit, I was surrounded by people who either had been in this for a long time or had always wanted to do this, and this was their lifelong ambition. And it became that for me then, but it wasn't that before then. So I constantly had this imposter syndrome that I felt like I didn't belong. And then I guess that manifested itself a little bit on that Friday, Saturday night club circuit, where I just found it a little bit difficult to connect to that audience.
Yeah.
And I just kept working out. Don't get me wrong, like some gigs, when I was doing the open, spots, so just 10 minutes, they were great. Because you go on in the middle and you just 10 minutes and you just slay it. And you're
and the crowd's already warmed up.
Yes, and you're like, I belong here. It was when I got promoted to the opening 20. The opening 20 minutes, that's when I realised, I was like, okay, this is hard. Because I'd seen acts, like professional, proper acts, do that opening 20 minutes and struggle a little bit. And then I go on in the middle, do my 10 minutes and smash it and think,
this crowd was easy.
guys, give me those slots, guys. But obviously, those promoters knew what they were doing, because when I got to do that, I was like, okay, this is hard. Yeah. And back then, you know, you don't have your plan B, C, D, E that you have now with experience of, like, if a gig is going tough or a gig is tanking, how can I rescue it with you know, plan B, C, D? There, you barely have plan A, and if that doesn't work, you're just left on your own, just going. I remember the first time I ever got paid for what was that? It was like £200, which is like proper money, like proper club money then, like what, $250 or something. And it was an opening 20 at a club in Croydon, Tiger. It was Jongleurs, which is a club that's closed down now for good reason. And
most of them do close for good reason.
Yeah, so I was there doing my opening 20 minutes, and honestly, there's a middle 7 minutes portion where I felt like I was doing a monologue to myself, because the crowd was so disinterested. There was a big hen do on one side. I didn't know how to deal with them. They were being noisy, a bit disruptive. I don't know. And now I know the big difference between dealing with stag do's and hen do's. There's a world of difference in dealing between those two different people. I didn't know that then. There were just couples disinterested. There was music pumping out of the main club room. It's. I didn't know. My head couldn't drown that out. It was just so bad. But like, I know now I could go on and slay that room today. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm out of practice for a year, but you know, give or take. But then I didn't know what I was doing. And there was one girl at the front with her, I assume, boyfriend or husband or whatever, and she was just such a solid audience member. She just the whole time just watched me like this, big smile on her face, just being super supportive. And I felt really sorry for her, because I'm like, you're so nice, and I am not delivering anything right now. And I remember, like, I think I must have been about 15, 16 minutes in. The guy running the gig at the time, like, was on the side, and he just gave me a little neck, you know, just a little,
like, stop,
and like come off. And he was so sweet about it afterwards. He was like, don't worry about it, like this. He said you're great, they're not ready for you, which is a very nice thing for him to say. It's a very
kind thing.
It's very kind for him to say, but I know now, like, I wasn't ready for it, truth be told. But that was very nice of him to say. And it was nice that he recognized, actually, my material was decent.
People are so much nicer over there. Here, they'd be like, get off the stage, you fucking loser. Like, what do you mean?
There's a bit of that as well.
That feels more like a Scottish thing.
Yeah. Or like if you're playing the black rooms, like they are very unforgiving. Like they will just, if they love you, it is the gig of your life.
Yes.
And if they don't like you, you're not going to finish your set. It's just those are the two extremes. Like it's one or the other. But yeah, it was. I think it was that British politeness. Maybe later on in the night they would have told me to get off, but it was at the beginning of the night. They're not very drunk. They barely had drunk anything. British people are awkward anyway. The best of times. So there was just sort of like, just let the kid do his time, and then we'll be in a break. But that was my first ever time, and I felt like a fraud, because all the times that I'd smashed gigs and not been paid for them, and this was the first time I was being paid for a gig.
Just ate it.
like proper money, not like pocket change, because I've had that before, but like proper money. And I just ate shit, and it was just so humbling.
That is a little, if you don't do well for a gig you're getting paid, when you go to collect that money, it feels really awkward. It's like, well, you will technically, you owe me this money. So, I mean, we never have to talk again, but I definitely need this money right now.
Because there's part of me thinking, are they going to withhold the money? And if they do, have I got a good argument for it? Like, are my business studies classes going to save me now? Like, what am I going to do? What are they going to do if you're like, that wasn't what we
I would
booked.
love if you were like, well, according to my business studies class, you do still owe me.
There's a contractual obligation that I fulfilled, and therefore you owe me these monies. No, I definitely wouldn't. Honestly, if at that gig wasn't paid in cash, I think it was paid afterwards. But if they withheld the money, I don't think I would have argued for it. I would have been too embarrassed, or like I wouldn't have had the language to be like, "Oh no, contractually you owe me," or whatever.
You just pay them. Okay. You're like, "I'm so sorry. I'll go." It's okay.
Can I pay you to never book me again, please?
Yes, please wipe this from your memory. That's so funny. How did you? So you've had your own show. I'm Not Telling You News, and you've been on a bunch of other stuff. I wonder if I don't know how I first came across you, but a friend of mine writes for Mock the Week. So maybe that was how. I don't know if you know Christine Rose. She's great. How did you end up getting into that circuit and getting into TV and getting those gigs?
I think it came from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So my managers were really, so doing my debut show, I think that is what elevated me into the minds of like, TV bookers and all that sort of stuff. And my manager's also an amazing hustler. Like she's just brilliant at pitching me to the right people and stuff, or pitching me into that circuit. And so she was a massive help as well. But my debut Edinburgh Fringe show, Tez Talks, was what kind of changed everything. Because on the back of that, I got my Radio 4 series, and BBC Radio 4 is a huge thing over here. Particularly amongst middle-class white people, like it's their station of choice, and that is where the home of British radio comedy lives, on BBC Radio 4. So I got my own show on that, which, to be honest, growing up as I did as a working class person of colour, like I had no concept of Radio 4 growing up. I knew it existed just because I knew of it, but I couldn't name you a single programme on that radio station. Getting my own show, I didn't know how much of a big deal it was, or how much. This is the thing of like, other people in the circuit would have like cut their arm off to have had their own show on there, and I just got it because of the back of that show, and I was like, oh cool, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, my show was good, wasn't it? Oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
It's funny because there's probably also people that were in your stand-up workshop that were dying to do stand-up that are looking at you now like, fuck you. Like, it was just a hobby.
Yeah, because I am the only person from that workshop, and there were like 10, 15 of us. I think there were 15 of us that started, but maybe by the end there were 10 of us, because 6 weeks people drop off. And I think I'm the only person who does stand-up now, but I wasn't the most talented person on that workshop. I'd have put myself in the top 3 because I backed myself, but there was definitely 1 or 2 people who I think then I was looking at them going, wow, you're really good. Like, you're really funny. Like, oh, your writing is amazing. And then just, because stand-up is hard. It's resilience. It's like getting back up after rejection and giving up your evenings and sacrificing relationships and time and stuff. And it's not for everyone. And so there are talented people that fall by the wayside because they can't do the grind, or the grind eats them up. And I do think about them sometimes, but it is what it is.
You just reach out to them. You're like, hey, remember me? I'm successful now.
Here's a link to my book.
Please endorse it. So Tez Talks was your first Fringe show. How long did you put that together?
It took, like, it was, so I had 2 choices for that show. Either it's a best of, so it was 5. So at that point, I've been doing stand-up for 5 years. So I had the choice of doing a best of show. Here's my best collection of stand-up that I've collated over the 5 years, and here's the show. Or, and this was my manager's idea. She's like, she's amazing. She's like, why don't you do something else? Why don't we make a splash? Why don't you use that material to create something, to create a narrative show that only you could make? Because your stand-up is unique to you, but also anyone can go up and do a collection of their stand-up.
Absolutely,
but why do you create something that only you could do using that collection of stand-up that you have? So I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and we were going back and forth, and eventually we came up with this ridiculous idea where my show acted as a conversion to Islam class.
Okay.
So when the show started, I endowed the audience as potential converts to Islam who had been on this this conversion to Islam course, and then my stand-up show was their final module of this course, and our module was integration. So once you're out there as a Muslim, how are you going to integrate into British society? And through that, and the clever thing about that was, I was then able to use all my material, but instead of saying I, as a Muslim, me, I, and then you, I was able to go we. So in the show, I was able to go, we will have to go through this.
Yeah.
What we have to go. And that just changed everything.
Wow.
So instead of like people going, oh, this is about him, suddenly people were like, I had reviewers going up after the show going, I genuinely felt like at the end of the show, when you let us out, like I was starting a new life. Like there was a moment where I had to like snap out of it. Like snap out of it and be like, oh no, that was it was a show that it was a conceit that he created, and now we're back out of it. But it was such a, like, I was so proud of that show. And within that, I created the Tez commandments. So like these are the commandments that you need to undertake in order to integrate as a British Muslim in Britain. And through that, I was able to convey, like, it was obviously, there was very, very funny bits in it, but also I was able to convey the messages of like how Islamophobic society is and how difficult it is as a Muslim in 21st century Britain and the West. But because I was always going, because those bits were very we will have to go through this. You are going to have to go through this once you're out there. It was suddenly became like, oh shit, they literally put themselves in my shoes.
Yeah, that's such a cool immersive experience. It's such a cool way to include people and get them to see things from your perspective.
Yeah, and we also had the PowerPoint up because it was like a TED Talk, so Tez Talk thing. So we aped like the TED Talk like font and graphics and everything. Like we just copied that, like we parodied that. So that was really fun. And yeah, the show just went down really, really well. And then off the back of that, then all the interest from TV and radio and all that sort of stuff came. But that was the foundation that built everything. And the foundation that built that was the 5 years of grinding on the open mic circuit.
Yeah. But yeah, that's also crazy that it was only 5 years before that all launched. That's so much work. I mean, you had to be very dedicated to pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, I was working full time in the day because comedy wasn't making me anything. Like even at that stage where I got to do Edinburgh, it was barely making me any pocket change. But then that changed everything, and so slowly started increasing, and then slowly I started getting more club gigs. And then I think a year later, I was like properly embedded on the club circuit, and I was able to, like, you know, work most weekends in clubs. But before that, not really.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the thing. That was the launching pad. It was, yeah, I'm still very proud of that show.
That's incredible. And so then when did that lead to the Tez O'Clock show?
So that I think after my second show, which was Made in Britain, or maybe even Testify, which is my third show.
I love all the puns.
I've always said, like, there's a theme park here called Chessington World of Adventures, and I've always said to my friends, when I do the show Chessington World of Adventures, you will know that's my final show. That will be my retirement show. So if it's next year or 50 years from now, that will be my final show. And you know, when I launch that, it's like, oh yeah, that's it. He's out of the game now. Or, you know, Test Things I Hate About You. There's a million and one shows I could do. Yeah. We had a producer at Channel 4, which is one of our big channels here, who just loved what I do, and she wanted, like, to work with me, and she was like, what do you want to do? And, you know, like every comic of a certain stature is like, I want to make the Today Show. I want to do, you know, Trevor Noah. I want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
and then she's like, well, go away. Here's a production company I want you to pair with that I really like. Go away and come back with an idea. And then we workshopped it over a few months, and we came back with the Tez O'Clock show, and we were like, I think this is what we want to make. And then then she greenlit a pilot, and then later she upgraded that pilot into like a mini series, so like a 3-episode run.
Yeah.
And that never happens. You usually always make a pilot, but she essentially gave us like an extended pilot run. And we were like, amazing. This is like, and here seasons are really short. There's like 6 episodes is a full season here.
Oh, yeah.
Super short. Yeah. So it's super short. So I was like, oh, I've got half a season here. So we went away and created that. And yeah, we did it in summer of 2019 now. It feels weird that we just lost a year.
I know, it's when I say last year, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm like, yeah, 2019 or
like 1 year BC, so before Corona. So we did it then, and yeah, it was really well received. Critics liked it. People who watched it liked it. I was really proud of it. Like I remember, like a month before the show went out, I was like, I just want to create a show that if I put myself in my 20-year-old shoes, I would have really enjoyed watching.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have watched. And a show that I was like, if I never get to do this again, I want to be able to say that I was proud of the thing that I made. And I feel like I was able to do that. And I was grateful that they gave me a lot of freedom to kind of make the show that I wanted to make. I'm not 100% because that's you never get that. But it's like 75% what I wanted to do. And I was really pleased with the outcome. Not that it was perfect. And I think if they ever give me another chance, and I don't know if they will because the landscape has changed now because of Corona and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen going forward. But and I think this government is also not big on satire, and because we're a closed island, because we're a small island, like it has a big impact what they think and stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen with it going forward, but I was so happy to have got it made and like just to have my own name in a show. Like it was just and I filmed it in Manchester, which is not far from here, so my parents were able to come and watch it be filmed and stuff.
I love
so
that.
It was super cool.
I think that's probably why I just assumed, I just made up in my mind, I was like, yeah, London, obviously you live in London because you're filming something, and that's you know, my American brain, I'm like, well, obviously that's the only place there's cameras.
No, we've got a studio here in Manchester, so I was able to film it out of there. And I was super keen to have it up north because it's a different crowd, it's a slightly different culture up north than there is down south. So I was super keen to do that. And the crowds were like, they were borderline sycophantic.
That's great.
Which is amazing. Like I was on stage at one point going, I don't know if I'm being patronized, but I don't know if that bit was that funny. But they were so great. It was.
Have you thought of starting a cult? Because it sounds like between this and your Tez Talks, it sounds like you've got a lot of people that are interested in joining your cult.
Well, you know, they are called Tesbians, so it probably could happen.
When you look back at kind of like your journey through your career, is there anything that stands out as something that was either seemed insignificant or even bad at the time that, you know, turned out to be good? Yeah,
and it's going back to Edinburgh 2015. So my debut show, Tez Talks at the Fringe. So every debut show, so the Fringe has 2 big awards: Best Show and Best Debut Show. So when you do your first show, you're going for Best Debut Show. Like you only get one crack at that. And you're only against your peers. You're only against the people that are doing their first show. Whereas Best Show is every show in the festival, of which there are like 1,000. But Best Show, you're competing with like the other people in your year. And I was just like, I was so proud of my show. I was so proud of the impact that I was making. But even before that, even before I created the show, I was like, that's what I want to crack at. I want to nail that best. And they nominate like 5-6 people, 5-6 shows for Best Debut Show, and then one wins. And I wasn't asked about winning. I just wanted to be nominated. If I'd been nominated, for me, that was a win. I was like an Oscar. Like if you get nominated for Best Actor, you've already won.
Yeah. Oh,
like
absolutely.
That is great. It's great to win, but if you've been nominated, you've won already. So for me, like I just wanted to be nominated, and the show was going great. The feedback was amazing from audiences. The critic feedback was amazing. Like, you know, people were stopping me in the street, telling me how good my show was. So everything was building up to the thing that I was like, I'm gonna get nominated. I'm gonna get nominated for Best Debut Show. Like, you know, people hype you up as well, and they're like, mate, come on, like it's going good. Like, we don't want to jinx it, but come on, we know it's gonna happen. So that sort of thing. And then on the afternoon when the nominees came out, I got the phone call, which happens half an hour before the names are released, and it's that phone call, and I'm like, you know, pick my phone up by my ear, and they're like, and my manager's like, you didn't put you on, you didn't get on.
No.
And I was just like, what?
At least your manager called. Here they don't call you.
Oh really? No, my manager called, and they were like, yeah, we've just learned that you didn't get the nod. And I was like, oh, man, what? And then your brain does that silly thing where your brain's like, oh, bunch of racists. They didn't understand me. Oh, yeah, there was conspiracy against Tez Ilyas. Of course they didn't nominate. They didn't get it. Didn't get it. That's what it is. And all these million and one things. It just didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't work for them. They were, like, the other shows that were nominated, maybe they were better than mine. I hadn't seen them. You know, I was just so busy with my own show, and I'd seen other shows, but I hadn't seen the shows that had been nominated. So I was just like, how could their shows have been better than mine? They probably were. I hadn't seen them. Like, everyone's making their own impact. But at the time, I was so into myself and my own thing. I was just like, oh, I can't believe it. And I was like, I felt embarrassed. I was like, how am I going to look people in the eye? Like, people expected me to get nominated, and now I haven't been, and have I let people down? I won't let anyone down. Like, everyone's kind of feeling a bit sorry. You know, people are like, oh, that's a shame, lad. You know what I mean? Like, it's a shame that didn't happen. But no one's going, what an idiot, he didn't get nominated. No one's thinking, no one's thinking that.
That would be very psychotic.
Yeah. I remember that evening I went out to do my show, when I was backstage getting ready to go on. And there was Edinburgh's packed, so like there's rooms next to each other. So we're sharing backstage with other performers going into other rooms about to do their show. And I was with Felicity Ward, and Felicity had an amazing summer. So she was she was past debut. It was like her third or fourth show, and she was getting rave reviews. And you know, her poster was like littered with stars, and she was one of the people that you'd think would be a shoo-in for best show nominee. And she didn't get it either.
Oh, wow.
And so we're just there backstage, and we just sort of, without saying anything, we just both knew what like we just needed to give each other a hug and be like, it's okay. And so we just kind of gave each other a hug, and I kind of like I had to just fight back the tears a little bit.
You just wept.
Like, I'm not the only one. This happened. They've got a tough job. They're like, now I'm mature. Looking back now, 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I'm like, it's a tough job. Like, you gotta whittle down like 200 shows to like five shows and stuff, and it's hard. And people have their own subjective things about their own subjective senses of humor and what they find funnier than other things and stuff. And it just is what it is. By the time I was like, why? Like, why hasn't this happened for me? But looking back now, it was great because I worked so hard on my second show, Made in Britain. And I'm sure that I worked harder on that because I didn't get nominated, because I felt like I got something to prove.
Yeah.
And I came back the following year, and I didn't get nominated for Best Show, but that was fine. But the show again went really, really well.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of eyes on me, because there was a bit of that talk of like, yeah, he was the one that got away last year, so let's see what he's done this year. And there was and also one of the reasons I got the radio show straight away as well is because the person from Radio 4, the head of comedy at Radio 4, who came to see my show in Edinburgh, she was the head of the panel who makes the decisions the year before.
Oh.
So she had done that job the year before. But in the year I was doing it, she just come as a punter or someone to scout stuff. And she texted me like an hour after the nominee results came out saying, I cannot believe you weren't on the list. Let's work together.
That's great. And then that's how you ended up getting your show.
Yeah, because she was so affronted. Because she'd done the job. She'd done the job of like, of being the person, head of the panel that decides who gets on these lists. And she was so affronted that I wasn't on it, having done the job herself previously, that she was like, I am adamant that we're going to make your show. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I still don't really know what Radio 4 is, but thank you. Like, looking back, I'm like, Radio 4, having a show on Radio 4 is so much bigger than being nominated for that award. But at the time, I didn't think that. I didn't think things like that, because I'm like, I want everything. I want to be nominated, and I want the show. Yeah.
Well, and also I think it's easier to set goals for things or want things when you see your peers getting them. If you're unaware of Radio 4, you don't have friends that are like, we all have shows on the station. Why don't you? You know, where it's like the award is something that you know is available to you. Yeah. And so you're like, you fixate on the thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think like it was probably good for me, my ego, and my work.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great outlook. And it's also like, it's so remarkable that British comics do Edinburgh and just do it year after year and just do another hour and another hour. And because in America, we would never do a show without recording it and trying to sell it to TV, and
Yeah, because I never recorded Test Talks.
Mm-hmm.
I never recorded it. Obviously, it became the Radio 4 show, but it was a slightly different show because that was split. It was 4 times 15 minutes, and each 15-minute had to like be able to stand and end on its own merit.
Yeah.
Whereas the show was obviously stuff you set up at minute 2 or 3 comes back in 15 minutes later. I couldn't do that in the radio show. So it was slightly differently formatted. But I never recorded that show beginning to end, and I feel so gutted about it. Even if I didn't end up selling it somewhere, just to have a record of it.
Yeah.
Just to have in the archives, if I do ever make it to like stratospheric levels, you can
Just
be like, this
Tez
was your
Museum?
debut.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I never recorded it, so I feel so gutted about it. But the radio show exists, which I'm very grateful for, and the material is very, very similar, and there's a massive overlap between the two things. But yeah, you're right. Like, people do go in year after year, and I've massively fallen out of love out of the whole Edinburgh thing. I think it's massively elitist. I think it's classist. I think it's borderline racist. Although
it's interesting that that's your perspective now, years after not getting the award.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was, and maybe if I'd got the award, I'd feel differently about it. So maybe there is part of me still, super bitter about the whole thing. But I think it's so expensive, prohibitively expensive to do Edinburgh, and I funded it through my day job. So I use my civil service earnings to fund my comedy career.
Yeah.
And also I was writing a lot during the
acumen.
days. Yeah, I was writing a lot during the day as well. I was using the printers at work to print my show out. Like, I just really used that office to build this foundation in comedy. But if I didn't have that well-paying day job, there is no way I could have afforded to do Edinburgh the way I did it. I would have been tucked away into one of the free rooms where there's less focus and attention on you. People are less, people who, quote unquote matter are less likely to come out. Industry folk are less likely to come out to seek you out because you're not in the main advertised rooms. And so my show probably would have got significantly less attention. So the game is slightly rigged in the favor of people with big agents.
Sure, yeah.
A certain type of act.
So now that everything's been shut down for the last year, I think I don't know what day it is anymore
It's over a year for us.
Yeah. It's been less than a year for a lot of people in the US, and that's pretty alarming to me. Here in Nashville, it looks like it never happened. That's another issue though. Have you been able to still be creative during quarantine and lockdown and everything?
Not a lot of stand-up, a few Zoom things, which, it's not, that's methadone, isn't it, compared to smack? It's not the real thing.
Yeah.
It's not the real thing at all. But, it gets you by. But I did excitingly, I wrote a book. So that was my You
didn't start
project.
this in quarantine though, right?
I did. I even, the whole thing came about in lockdown. So
That's crazy.
So I had a meeting with these publishers 3 or 4 years ago because I had this idea to write a book called Islam for Infidels. So essentially like a dummy's guide to Islam, but with a very funny, provocative title. And then we're going back and forth with some ideas. They wanted some sample chapters. I got a bit lazy / busy with other things like the 10 o'clock show. And so I never quite gave them the pitch that they wanted. And then at the beginning of lockdown, the person in charge of the project that I was doing changed, and so this new lady came in, and she looked at it all, and she went, "You know what? Forget that. Can I pitch you something? Why don't you write a memoir? Why don't you write about your teenage years? What was it like for you growing up in this country? And what was the foundation that ended up with you coming to the place that you are in now?" And I just really liked the idea. And there was a book in the 80s, a British book by Sue Townsend called The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4. And she thought it'd be really fun to parody that. And so my book, we decided that it would be called The Secret Diary of a British Muslim, aged 13 3/4. And yeah, it was a really interesting part of my life then. So I thought, yeah, let's do it. And that chat happened the second week of lockdown, so last March. And then we went back and forth on the deal and the ideas and stuff. And then I started writing it in June. It took me 3 months.
That is remarkable. It is, that is so much work. To have that done in less than a year is Unbelievable.
It was so intimidating at the beginning because I thought, right, I want to write a proper book. I don't want to write a 100-page book. Like I don't want to write a manual. I want to write a proper book. So in my head, I was like, okay, I want to write 80,000 words. And for me, I was like, God, how am I gonna? Once I decided that, then the other part of my mind started chirping up, going, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna write 80,000 words? That's too many words. But I just started. I planned it all, and then I started writing. And then my first draft, I wrote 105,000 words, and I did it in 3 months.
That's crazy. That's so much. I mean,
so I did it from like
the focus
mid-June
you have to
mid-September, mid-June to mid-September. I just bashed it out. But we've kind of been half lockdown, half not in the summer last year, so it kind of gave me a focus and a project to do. And there was nothing else. I wasn't going out for work.
Yeah.
So I just managed to put my head down and do it. And I gave my first draft in September last year. Then there's a painful back and forth editing process with the editor. And then we finished that in January. Then the legal read, which is painful, and the legal guy, because it's based on my life, and we're talking about real people. The legal guy made me change people's names, or he's like, maybe soften that story slightly, or maybe not say that because you might be liable to being sued or whatever. It's like, fine, we'll make these small changes. And then recorded the audiobook in March, so last month. And then, it was released. I don't know when this is going out, but on the 8th of April, which happens to be on my birthday as well.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. We released the book. The Secret Diary of a British Muslim, age 13 3/4. For people listening to this, I'm holding my book up. Yeah. Look how fat it is. It's like a proper book.
That's a big book. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The print could be giant. So there could be 12 words in there. Who knows?
There you go. It's proper.
That's amazing.
It's proper.
I love it. Well, everyone needs to check that out. One last question for you before you go.
Yes, please.
If your childhood self, let's say 13 3/4,
that kid.
If that Tez could see you now, if he could meet you, what do you think he would think of you?
I think he'd be like, "Oh, mate, you look old." No, I think he would find it so surreal. I don't think I think he'd be baffled. If I told him what I do for a living, and I'm you, this is what we do for a living, I think he'd be completely baffled by it. I don't think he'd understand.
Yeah.
I think he'd be shocked, genuinely, like, what, it is a parallel universe, like, what is going on? Like, this, how is that how are you my destiny? I don't understand what's going on. Like, I think he'd be genuinely confused.
He'd be like, how did business management lead to this?
But we dropped drama. It was no use to us. What are you talking about? But it's just, I think if I could tell him something, I would say, you know how much junk food you ate in your late teens and early 20s? Please eat more, because there will come a time where you can't really eat as much. So please eat more of it. Just enjoy that metabolism and really abuse it, because it's not gonna last. So just please, for me, eat 2 tubs of Ben & Jerry's, not just the one.
Yeah, just really, if it means your teeth rot out of your head, that's fine.
Just really go for it, mate.
That's really funny. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and congrats on the book. That's incredible.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. Once again, that was Tez Ilyas. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Tez Ilyas. It's Tezilyas. And if you're not already on BritBox on Amazon, sign up for that. There's a lot of great shows on there, and you should definitely get his book. Check that out. And I am Lisa Curry. Again, you know that. You can find me on Twitter at Lisa_Curry and on Instagram at olympianlisacurry. If you're enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, make a little comment. If you're not enjoying the show, stop listening. Don't do that to yourself. See you next week.